Over the past 100 years, the Indiana County community has helped build IRMC brick by brick. As we look to our second century of service, it is appropriate to reflect on how our modern facilities were developed. As 1914 was drawing to a close, Indiana Hospital was opening. Built on the site of the George C. Dickey Farm, the original building was funded primarily by Adrian Island Jr. of the Rochester and Pittsburgh Coal and Iron Company. Constructed by the Hyde Murphy Company, the three-story brick building was completely fireproof and housed 40 beds. With the Spanish influenza of 1918, the porches of the original hospital were enclosed, expanding patient capacity. A second stage of expansion began in 1929, with a new three-story wing opening in May 1931. The expansion increased capacity to 154 beds, and an elevator was installed, thanks to a donation from John G. McCrory. Even with this expansion, Indiana Hospital was not large enough to meet state standards to accept interns and certify nurses. John S. Mack, local businessman, accepted this challenge and led the effort for the next round of expansion. In May 1937, the Mack Wing was opened, expanding capacity to 200 beds and creating a separate power facility serving the hospital. The hospital now had 5 times the capacity of the original facility. The next major step for the hospital was the opening of a new facility for the nursing school in October 1947. Funded by a community capital campaign, it included dormitories, classrooms, kitchens, and an auditorium. Over the next 30 years, the facility would serve as the home for the nursing program. Unfortunately, it was destroyed in a tragic fire on Thanksgiving Eve in 1976, and the school would soon be closed after 60 years of operation.
The site of the fire was in the lounge area, which was on the second level. Apparently there was a short in the TV that started the fire. And because there was no one there, basically, it kind of got a good start before it was noticed.
In the 1950s, the next major stage of development occurred. The Community, Auxiliary, and Hospital Funds supported a $1.3 million addition to the complex. Finished in 1958, the new facility enabled the hospital to perform many tests and procedures usually done only in large city hospitals. The expansion included a kitchen and cafeteria. It also included radiological and fluoroscopic services, along with diagnostic and treatment rooms. It also contained surgical facilities and recoveries, along with a new laboratory.
And they were then developing the intensive care unit, because the hospital never had an intensive care unit. And he asked if I would be interested in being the head nurse for that job.
Despite its continual growth, Indiana still lacked an intensive care unit. The ICU was made possible by the auxiliary after Dr. Melvin Williams made it a condition of his hire. Built in the sun porch area of the Mack Wing, the ICU opened in 1968 with 5 beds, 3 electrical monitoring devices, and the hospital's first crash cart. The most prominent addition to the hospital would occur in 1979 with the dedication of the Tower. A 7-story addition, the Tower included changes to public, emergency, and service entrances. It tripled emergency and outpatient areas and added intensive and coronary care facilities. Floors 5 through 7 would become the primary patient wards with 42 beds per floor. With the addition, there would no longer be a separation between male and female wards, a factor that was the only remaining tie to Indiana's earliest days.
We're always doing our best to keep folks home. You know, when you're sick and, or a loved one is ill or has something going on, I mean, the last thing you want to do is, honestly, is drive an hour and a half and sit at the tunnel. And, we all know what that ride is like, and maybe it's okay to go to a Steeler game or Penguin game, but it's tough when you don't feel well. And so, we do our best to make sure that we have the up-to-date technology and the state-of-the-art services right here local.
For cancer patients, regular trips to Pittsburgh for treatment challenged those already weakened by the disease. To address this issue, Indiana Hospital began its first partnership with another healthcare provider, Oncology Services of State College, Pennsylvania. Changes continued in 1987 with the obstetrics and ambulatory care units. Obstetrics was renovated to provide a more home-like environment complete with recliners and private baths. The family-friendly unit would welcome some 800 new babies each year and support the latest techniques in labor, delivery, and recovery rooms. The ambulatory care unit was moved from the 5th to the 4th floor of the tower and was connected by a bridge to the surgery and recovery areas. Some 60% of the surgical cases were done on an outpatient basis, and the new facility enhanced patient care and convenience. The next major round of expansion occurred in the 1990s. Opened in 1992, the first addition was the $1.9 million outpatient services building. A two-story, 18,000 square foot structure, the building would house the ER Fast Track, chemotherapy unit, and outpatient physical and occupational therapy. It also provided 2 educational classrooms and space for fiscal services, accounting, and billing. In 1994, construction began on the Transitional Care Center. Located in the MAC wing, the 18-bed unit provided skilled nursing care for the patients who did not need full hospital services but were not well enough to be cared for at home. In 1997, the center received full accreditation from the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations. In November 1997, planning began on the Ambulatory Surgical Center. The new 3-story facility was a response to the changing nature of healthcare and the growth of outpatient procedures. The 48,000 square foot facility was a joint venture between IRMC and Indiana Ambulatory Surgical Associates, a group of local surgeons and other physicians. A $10 million capital campaign in 2001 would help support continued expansion. With the community's support, the new $5 million Bourque Emergency Center tripled the space available. The unit expanded the number of beds from 14 to 21 and enabled the center to handle 42,000 patients per year. Marking their 100th anniversary, IRMC kicks off their second century with the announcement of an upcoming expansion to their current facilities, as well as the capital campaign to raise the money needed to build a foundation for the next 100 years. Indiana Regional Medical Center has come a long way since its start in November of 1914. Today, they have expanded to a vast 40-acre main campus which houses an estimated 250,000 patients a year. Currently, Indiana Regional Medical Center is the county's sole full-service healthcare provider. Its success is evident in its ranking in Pennsylvania's top 100 best places to work, never placing lower than 4th since 2005.